Okay, this is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, and today is the 8th of May 2018. And so last Sunday I finished this field about 9 o'clock at night. And so I had seeded it, and I put in about a combination of field peas and kale, about 4 pounds of seed on this field. And it seemed a little bit heavy, but I'm not worried about it because it came up total to maybe, you know, $7 worth of seed. So I'm not worried about it. Okay, so this field, I'd rototilled it, which I have, just got a brand new rototiller, and I'd never really done that before. And then I seeded it with my hand seeder. I just walked a pattern out here and until it was all gone. And then I used my drag to kind of get it underneath. And my drag is just they call it a bed spring sometimes, but you can use a lot of different things, but even a section of hog panel, and you weight it down. So it just drags over the top of it. And you want to get those seeds under the soil. And when I did this, it had rained the day before, so the soil was nice and moist. And then yesterday we had pretty warm weather. It was in the 70s, and today's it's going to be in the 70s. So we should see some germination out here pretty quick. And as soon as I do, and there's a nice cover, I'll get back to you on this. Let's be careful, though, that you don't start thinking that I'm telling you you've got to have a tractor and a rototiller and all this stuff. You don't. For years, the pigs did the tilling out here, and then we would, drag over it with a bed spring just to smooth it out, or I used to use a cultivator, and then seed it, and then drag over it again. I didn't have a rototiller. A rototiller is an expensive piece of equipment, and the reason I'm able to afford that piece of equipment is because we've been doing it with what we had, and then we make a gain, and then the proceeds from that gain we're able to go into a more expensive piece of equipment that will do a better job. And there's more to come on that, but equipment is something that you have to look at like an account, like a savings account. A piece of equipment, if you buy good equipment, your money is safe in it because you can always get it out. Now, I paid $2,200 for this thing. It's not like I'm going to resell it for $2,200 because nobody would buy it. They'd go and buy a new one. However, I could probably turn around, sell it today for $21.95. And then as time goes by, every year I'm going to lose a little bit. But look at what I gain on that. I'm going to gain, like 100,000 pounds of forage off this field, and that's really worth something. So I'm paying myself back, whether you see it in the short term. You may not see it, you may not feel it, but here the money that I used to buy this piece of equipment was from a couple of sows that I sold, a couple of bred sows. Sold them for $1,000 a piece. So that's where my money is in the assets of this farm, not necessarily sitting in a bank account someplace, which is good. There was a time when we didn't trust banks. We trust them now, though. Okay, another thing that I wanted to go over was the definition of forage. I started on that, but I never really got it out. Forage is whatever the animals can eat. So you look at this field and you don't see anything out here. I've never sprayed this. I've never put any chemical on here. I've never put any fertilizer on here. It's all natural. Forage, and the reason I say there's nothing on here is because the pigs that were on here ate everything off. I mean, every blade of grass that they see, they will go and whoop, take that, I'm gonna eat that. Or if there's a weed that pops up, whoop, that's mine. Now, not all pigs will do that. The heritage breed pigs, a lot of them will. I haven't raised all of them. The only ones I have extensive experience with is this Mangalitsa and Mangalitsa cross. And you know, unless there's a pig that lays golden eggs, I think I'll probably stay with this pig. And I had a lot of the other types of pigs. I've had Durocs, I've had Hampshires, I've had Yorks, probably a few others that I'm land races. But I would stay with this pig for sure. There's not a doubt that I would stay with this, because here I've invested $7 worth of seed into a nominal piece of field, and I'm going to get 100,000 pounds worth of forage off of it that those animals can utilize and turn into high-grade pork. Now, I'm not saying get into the business. I'm saying this is a way that you can feed your family on a half an acre of ground with some serious high-quality stuff. And, you know, if you are a homesteader, you likely need to learn how to do some bartering with your other neighbors that, you know, paint houses or give pedicures or whatever they do. And if you can barter with a high quality piece of meat, red meat from a Mangalitsa pig, you can get good stuff with that. So it's, you know, it's, you think it through and it's the way to go. You don't have to be feeding them hog chow, because if you do, if you feed them hog chow, once you pencil that out at the end of the season, you might say, well, it was fun, but it didn't pay, because you can buy pork at the store cheaper. And it's fed hog chow. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And, you know, the whole 4-H model to get them as big as you can, as quickly as you can, I don't know about that. That's not what we're doing here. We're saying this is an animal that will produce some serious quality red meat that you can use a lot of different ways. And when we start getting into the ways to utilize this pig in the homestead model, that's when it gets really, really interesting. But this is where it begins. And, you know, this species on pasture is going to be different than other species on pasture, but there are some similarities to all of it. So absorbing this material will help you in other functions that you're going to do on your homestead. Okay? So I got to go get a haircut. This is Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Remember, anyone can farm.